Oh, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Carew Show 2.0. I have a very special guest, and I'm very humbly honoured to have Mark Stas here, who will also be part of the UK martial arts show in Doncaster, on Doncaster Dome, on May the 6th and 7th. Thank you for coming on to the Carew Show, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Phil, for the interview, and very happy to meet you here.
Oh no, I'm so excited because everyone, you're gonna have a bit of fun here. When I did a bit more digging and more homework from Mark, I couldn't believe it. You know, in terms of the choreography as well. He's an award-winning choreographer, movie director, actor, and producer. He's also got a martial arts system called the Wing Flow system. My goodness, he's also known a nickname, the Belgian Bruce Lee. Oh my goodness, Mark! You know, what is your inspiration? What inspires you?
Many people inspired me before, but I think that the biggest thing that gave me this drive to continue and to excel in what I can do the best is the passion I had. So since I was a very a little boy, I loved martial arts training. So even before I could join a martial arts school, I was already training in my little room. So I think already from that time when I was, I think, 8-9 years, I think I was already training alone with books, and it never stopped. So I think the passion for martial arts grew more and more. And over time, when I became more adolescent, adult, this passion for martial arts became bigger. You know, so I changed, of course, in terms of what I liked in martial arts, the way I trained, but the passion and also the drive to continue and never stop. It became bigger. And of course, over time, I trained more intelligently. You know, so I had also a few years where I got severe problems with my shoulders. So yes. Instead of stopping completely, because a specialist told me you have to stop, you cannot train anymore, I worked around it. It took me a few years, but
wow.
Less after that, it became again the normal, I would say, development to start yes. again and to never stop. You know, so martial arts became really a big part in my life. But this passion and this fascination never stopped. You know, so even after, I think now it's. Training almost 40 years that I train intensively, it never stopped, you know. So we all have good moments, difficult moments yes. in life, but the thing that kept me going in life, it's really martial arts. So it's besides having to prove something to others, it's mainly because I really love it, and it's an aim in my life to perfect it and to become better as a martial artist. So
goodness,
Yeah, it started
Yeah.
very young, and then of course the inspiration I got from people, because you can train alone with books, but it's not enough to
No,
keep the
no,
fire.
that's true.
Yeah, and people like Bruce Lee on television, movies, animes at that time gave me this boost to continue to be inspired. But then I got very good instructors, and over time I got a lot involved with martial artists around the world. And yeah, of course there is internet now, so everything together makes that it can be easier to get motivated, but
Yes.
also it's also more difficult to see to which direction we want to go, because there is so much to see, but you have to filter what is necessary for your own development, you know. So, and I'm always concentrated on my things. So when I want to perfect my martial art, I
Yes.
don't come from left to right. I'm not like that. I'm like, okay, this is my goal. This is what I aim, and I want to continue to excel in my things, you know. So because you cannot excel in
No.
everything, you cannot be good in on the floor with weapons, kicking, punching. You know, it's broad. Martial arts is very broad, so you have to really to walk a path where after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, where you see you evolve and grow, you know. So it's a choice. It's mainly a choice. But to come back to your question, the inspiration I got over time from many people, also from everything that I learned. And then you have also to be very subjective and objective in where you go and how you evolve. This for sure.
No, no, that's no. I'm loving that answer. It's like, and we'd like to say good morning to Punong Guru Wayne Hunt
Hey,
here, a
me
fellow
too.
martial artist. He's also
Yeah,
going to be at the UK Martial Arts Show, is well, 6th and 7th of May.
yeah.
Good morning to you as well, Wayne. Thank you for tuning in. The other
Hi.
question is as well, what got you into, other than the martial arts, how did you get into the filming side of things? Because there's a lot of times where I've noticed this, where some people, they focus on one thing, but then also it leads into like the filming and the choreography. What came first? Was it the choreography or was it the filming?
No. It was really strange, because at the time it was around 2016, I think. I became more popular on social media, so a lot of videos became were shown on internet in the world,
Yes,
and it
yes,
became a boom. And there
yes,
was one person who wrote me many times, different times, on Smorenburg. And at that time in 2016, I was more involved on the internet, so I was also more active. And I saw messages and then again messages, and I said, but who is he? He wrote very well, and it was like, yeah, Mark, you need to do more movie. You need to do movies. You have charisma. You have a very nice style, and you have talent in martial arts. And then I read more comments, and then I said, but who is this guy? And then I looked his profile, and Phil, it was like, whoa, Hans Morenburg, he's very famous without people
goodness,
knowing it. He played, for example, with Jackie Chan in the movie
yes,
I, and he's the guy who lifted up the jacket with his leg. And when I saw
wow,
that him, I said, but yeah, this fight
goodness,
scene, it's legendary. And then I saw that he played in more than 100 movies, and with all the biggest movie stars like Donnie Yen, Michael J. White, Scott Atkins, Steven Seagal, all the best, the top actors. And I said, wow, it's not someone, it's really a guy who is
yes,
famous, but okay, I didn't recognize his name. So he wrote me, and then I answered him, and then he said, Mark, with
hi,
your talent, you need to come here
good
in
morning,
Thailand.
Carl.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Carl. And he's living in Thailand since more than 15, 17 years. And at that
Yes,
time, I didn't have the time because I was very busy. I was also promoting the martial art. And at a certain moment, I thought, okay, I had a lot of things in my life, a lot of stress, also a lot of changes. And I decided then to quit Belgium, to go to Thailand to meet him. But it was not to play in movies. It was only to meet him, and he wanted to know me.
of
And then
course,
Yeah, so I went there 3 months. We met, and then initially it was only to meet me, and I think he wanted to see, am I that good as the videos, you know? So I think it was a little bit like, we will see if he's good. Then time
Yes.
we met, yeah, the first time we met, he was like, "Oh, Mark, but it's incredible. It was, I think, better than the videos." And I was very lucky
Yes.
because when I was in Thailand, there were three producers at that time in Bangkok located for movies. So Ron immediately said, "Hey, I have to show him to one director who produced English Dogs in Bangkok. It was Baron Gibson, who is also from UK, and he wanted to do with me a fight scene and Ron. So we did. We prepared a fight scene just like that.
Goodness.
When he saw that, the producer
Wow.
said, "But wow, it's amazing. He needs to do a second fight scene." And then it started like that. So I played a small part in English Dogs in Bangkok. There was another producer, Dean Alexandru. He was also filming a movie. He saw what I did in English Dogs in Bangkok, so separately in private, and he said, "No, Mark, he has to play in my movie too." So and then it started like that. This was
Wow.
really the first thing out of a brief encounter with Ron. Suddenly it was like, yeah, but Mark, he needs to play movies because his martial arts skills are amazing. And then it started like that. So from English Dogs in Bangkok, I played in Haphazard, which is the movie from Dean Alexandro. And
Yes.
I did a short movie at the Edge, which I wrote.
Yes.
And then it didn't stop. So I played, when I came back to Belgium, I played in Time 3, which is also award-winning action drama.
Yes.
From in the movie, he's Frank Denard, you know, but his real name
Yes.
is Belabi. And in this movie, I could play with big American stars like Patrick Kilpatrick. There is also the brothers Mandylor who play in it. They are really famous. There is
Goodness.
also Eric Roberts, who is the brother of Julia Roberts, is playing also in the
Yes.
movie. So, and in the movie, I did also the fight choreography. So I won a few awards with the fight choreography in Time 3. And now I prepare another movie. So it's from 2017. Slowly I came more in movies, but thanks to Ron who discovered me, and then I got the chance to play as an actor and to do my own fight style in the movie. So this is it's amazing. Yeah, it's a unique chance I had, and it's not an easy thing because people think, how did you got involved? I said it's a hazard, but it's really thanks to my martial arts skills that I came into the movies. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm really impressed with the level of experience, because I've got into not just presenting now. I've also got deeper into filming. So I am actually planning. So you never know. Off the camera, Mark, you and I need to speak. Because
Pleasure.
there's like 5 or 6K HD camera I'm planning to
Yeah.
sort of use
Yeah.
as a starter,
Yeah.
and look, watch this space, Chelmsford, because Chelmsford, Essex, because that's where I am at the moment. There are some other locations that I'd like to use and do some filming one day. We'll possibly do something with you, maybe one day. Off the camera, Mark. We're going to see what we can do together as a fellow martial artist, and even Wayne here, Punanguru Wayne Hunt. You never know; there could be some other greats there that I haven't mentioned yet. So there'll be some names that you could recommend that we could do something together. But stay tuned. Watch this space. You never know in the foreseeable future, folks and viewers and listeners, because as a talented martial artist, as Mark himself. I'm actually very impressed with the background in terms of that. When was the last time you competed? Because I've noticed, even just looking in, because you were very competitive, weren't you, in years before your filming and even sort of your martial arts that you're doing now. You're very competitive.
But when I was younger, I always wanted to be the best. So I practiced martial arts, and it took time, of course, to become the best. We can say to be the best, but my aim was always to master it in perfection. So when I was younger, I started with traditional martial arts like karate. There I did a kata, a regional kata championship where I won the first place. And it's more technical. And then I did taekwondo. I did not so long taekwondo, a few years, but I mainly did competitions. So it was also a youth competition period. And it's not professional. It's more amateur and younger category. And but I got also a lot first places, second places. I did also a world championship where I got also a second place. And but then I stopped because I studied, and then I went to another city, so it was too far for me to go to the taekwondo classes in Halle. And then I switched to Wing Chun, which I discovered in the mid-90s. And then I continued till the Wing Flow system, because the Wing Flow system is more derivated from the Wing Chun style, which I discovered in the mid-90s. So, and since then, I never deviated. So it's really this kind of martial art led me into Wing Flow system, and I never stopped it, but I stopped competition. So I invested a lot time in training, in understanding, studying, and perfect myself in these skills. And over time, I stopped, of course, the competition area this year. But I did competition, so I know what it is to do competitions, to have this stress, and to be good, not to be good, to win, to lose. It's all part of the game. But of course, this gave me also insight in the competition area. Although that my skills are better than when I was younger, logic, because I trained much longer. I could learn and train different aspects in the martial arts, which could have helped at that time. But of course, when you change and train, you have other skills. But it helped me, of course, when I was younger. Maybe I wouldn't have had this this understanding of the intelligence that I have now, because there are martial arts like Wing Chun. When you are too young, you don't understand the essence or the beauty of a system. So that's why I think what I did before, like karate, taekwondo, it was very good at that time, because it trains your body and mind. You are involved in a physical activity to train, to become flexible. And over time, of course, the martial art systems changed. But if I would have been younger and I would have discovered Wing Chun, maybe I wouldn't be attracted at that time. So I always think there are things in life, it comes to you at certain time of your life.
Yes.
It presents as if it's a present, But when it comes too soon, too early, then maybe you don't grasp the beauty of it, So competition was definitely part of my life, and I was also, as a younger boy, very active and very energetic. I was like, I couldn't sit still, and I was always like moving. Now I'm different. Now I'm calmer. So my character changed, but of course this spirit of being the best remains. So I don't think that it changed. And but differently. I control better what I do than before. So. But competition, I think it's important. When you never did competition, then you have another insight in martial arts. But when you did competition, then you see things that someone else who never competed will never see, because you need to experience it.
Yes.
So this, I think, also important when you speak about martial arts. What is it? Did you do something to test, to compete? And of course, it didn't have the same rules, but this experience, it's something that is graved in your memory and the body and the mind, and it helps you to evolve in a different way. So definitely, I think, although I'm not doing competition anymore, it helped me to have a kind of an idea of difference between competition and martial arts. This yes,
How many times do you train? How many times do you train a week, or is it in regards to even as well as teaching? How many times a week?
I don't teach anymore, so publicly. Yes. So I stopped X years ago to teach publicly, but I train every day. So I wanted to stop teaching just to have more time in my personal training. It's a choice. People say, you don't teach. Yeah, okay. We have an association, the World Wing Flow System Association, and thanks to that, I still teach, but I don't teach regular classes. I only teach thanks to the association in seminars or events, or I help instructors, but it's mainly this. And besides that, I try to train every day. There are times when I train during a day 1, 2, 3, 4 times divided. If I have to prepare for an event or a movie, then I train more. Then I train I stick to a training regime that's specific. And then, yes, there are moments where I train a lot and moments where I train less, depending, but involved in martial arts every day. Training physically, I try every day, sometimes more than once a day. It depends. It depends really with the moments, and I'm also more instinctive. I've a program, so I write a lot. I have programs, small programs that I do, and but besides that, I'm more like instinctive listener of my body and mind. So I train things that I say, okay, no, I feel I have to do this, then I do it, and. So yeah, it's
That's amazing.
yeah.
You know, it must be, you know, as there have been times when it can be challenging, where I think the great part of martial arts, it's saved me, because you know, without that, not just in the passion but the enjoyment of it. Like when you mentioned about how you value it more in terms of the placement of when you got involved in it, because I remember the time, like when I first entered a dojo, or even a club, or a form of even a form of association, you know, involved in martial arts, whether if it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's tang soo do, whether it's kung fu, Philippine martial arts, doesn't matter what kind of martial arts it is, I got excited. And it was because in regards to, you know, what you see in the films, it was the excitement of learning something new, you know, like you would do with a child with a toy. But the difference is with myself, because I was like similar to you, I needed something to use my energy, because you know, when you get to a certain age, it's not always easy to maintain. Because I remember I must have slacked probably about for 2 weeks because I thought I was on holiday. But some people didn't realize that even when I was off, they thought I was off. My mind was never off it. It was, my body might have been, but my mind was always right. Okay, you might be on holiday, so I'd find the nearest thing that I could pull up something, and someone would look at me and they think, "Are you crazy? Are you mad?" I said, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "No, I'm not crazy. It's just that I have to use something to maintain it, because it's like if you lose it for too long, it's like a muscle memory, isn't it? Sometimes you need it. If a certain part of your muscle isn't used, the saying is, isn't it? If you don't use it, you lose it. So you have to maintain something to be able to, your muscle, to remember it, you know, continuously, because certain parts of your body doesn't realize. It could be, I don't know, could be a few days to a week, and then that same muscle that you had, people don't realize this even when they go to the gym or they use something, even with a certain movement, you know, like with a Wing Chun or a particular movement, you know, in your mind, you think there's something there that you remembered. It could be a lock, a hold, a move, or anything like that, or a kick. And the way you did it, it might be a lot sharper, because the amount of times you've done it, repetition in your mind, you know, every day. And then there'll be one moment you think, oh, that was a bit sluggish. But then when you do it again, you think, wow, that felt good, because you can feel it in your body. People don't understand when they actually do something, and they've been doing it for so long, it becomes autopilot, just like that. And then you might make it look easy for everybody else, and maybe like on screen or on the video. But that took years to get into that level position, to get that kind of perfection. It's not easy to look like you, because you have to be in a particular angle. You could be holding something, and then, if you didn't swing your leg far enough, you wouldn't be able to hit your target, where you're aiming. And if you didn't lean into it far enough, you wouldn't get the power, from there. And there's so many facets and areas of martial arts. People think sometimes when they go into it, if you knew, it's like a form of exercise. Yes, that it is, but there's more into it than just a book when you're actually physically doing it. Because you think that some people, they might, if they're not into something as physical too early, they think, oh my goodness, it will become like it will go out of style for them or something like that. And I think, right, okay, I'm not into that anymore, but it is hard. I must admit, it is hard. It's like a hobby, sometimes you think you can go back into it, but if you don't maintain it long enough, part of you will think, you've lost interest, it's not for me anymore. And then later on you think, actually, I can go back into that, because, there's part of you that still thinks, what can I do? I can still do that. You still have everything. You're sharp in here, mentally, psychologically, and physically. What would you say is important, even in any form of martial art? Do you think it's important to have something to keep you going? Because a lot of times, any form of physical activity, including martial arts as a form of discipline, have you noticed how sociable people have become? Where sometimes you get locked out, people have gone, oh no, I don't want to go out. And then they get introduced into a martial arts. And then you've probably noticed this when you walk into a room or you go anywhere with seminars, they may not have even done a martial art before. They've come in, and then all of a sudden you've inspired them to say, well, look, you've entered this, you've never done it before. And then all of a sudden they've met new friends, new people. They've never ever done it before. It's like a new hobby or something like that. And then all of a sudden, everyone, like in the UK martial arts show that's coming in, that you're going to be in 6th and 7th of May, and Punangor and Wayne Hunt as well, and other people like the greats of Cynthia Rothrock and Bill Superfoot Wallace. In regards to travel, did you have to travel a lot in regards to your filming, or did they all come to you? Was there particular areas that you had to do your filming? Did you have to travel a lot on certain locations to get the feel of the film right? Like for example with the Bangkok one, did you have to travel quite a lot back and forth, or was there? How long did it take? In regards to
when I was in Bangkok, of course, we rehearsed in Bangkok, where I was located in the center of Bangkok, and with Rom, we rehearsed everything. But the filming, for example, English Dogs in Bangkok was in Bangkok, so it was not so far. It was with the MRT, the metro. And we came there for another movie. It was further away, so we had to. I had to travel a little bit more, but it's okay. I think it's part of the movie industry. I didn't for the movies. I didn't travel as much as, for example, Ron, who had to go from Thailand to China to Vietnam. And in China, for example, he can stay 4 or 5 weeks, so 1 month non-stop. So this I never did. I had the chance to film at the moments where I was available. So this is very a luxus. Also for Borrowed Time 3, for example, we filmed on very different parts in the year where I was available. So this is good, and it helps me also not to say I have to be there 1 month on another location. This is not always easy if you have other things to do also in your life, because I've also
of course
a very busy schedule and a calendar. And so it's not always easy to combine everything within a short time. But no, to come back to your question, I was very lucky not to have to travel a long distances. This not I
Wow,
was
you lucky man.
yeah
Because
yeah
because when it comes to filming, I think a lot of the time, the first time, I must admit, um, not many people probably know this, but I was actually on the first time I did an extra. This was about a couple of years ago,
yeah.
and there was a film. It was on a Netflix called Anatomy of a Scandal with Rupert Friend. That was Agent 47 and Homeland, and there, I think it was Naomi Scott. There was the Princess Jasmine, and also Power Rangers, and I met them on set, and it was really surreal because like even the second to none is no better than actually like what you are and I now. We're talking like this, and the audience, and it's live, but when it's different because the actual reality of it all is when you actually speak to someone in person. It's very
Yeah.
different. This is like the second best thing at the moment, or even sort of second to none to that, as it would be when we speak to each other face to face in the UK martial arts show. That's very different. But I think this is it. When in regards to that, in having to travel on the set while I was there, I think when it comes to doing takes, how does it feel like even being a choreographer and also when you're directing? Does it take? Do you get certain things where when you see a particular actor or actress or a martial artist, you think, right, I've got this choreographed in this particular way? Do you have certain clips of the video, and you say, well, I prefer it on this particular angle or that angle? Do you want it slowed down? Do you want it fast? Is there particular times when you think, oh, wow, I need to slow down, or this person needs to slow down because you're
Yeah.
going so quick to try and see what it looks like on the camera? Because it's very fast paced, because it's different in real life, isn't it? When you and I are looking from here visually, but when you look at it in real time, it could happen in like 3 to 5 seconds. Whereas when you're doing something, you think you're making it last like as if you're in a boxing fight for 10 seconds to 5 minutes. What's
I'm actually working on the prologue, so the beginning of a new action drama, which is an original story. And I just spoke again to the director because I did a small fight scene, and then I watched it, how it was filmed and edited. But out of experience, I saw that movements that I do in real life, it's on camera, it's not always the same. It doesn't have the same effect because when too quick, you don't see it. So, and I think this is really the biggest issue that I had in the beginning is that I was not used to do my movements for a movie, because when I do it, I work on precision, speed, precision, and certain elements which are not important what your eye captures. So
that's correct. Yes.
What I do as a martial art, it doesn't need to be beautiful. You don't need to see it, what I do, but it's the result of it, But in movies, it is the eye needs to capture what have you done? What is it, movement? Is it visible? And this is, I think, the biggest issue. The biggest problem is even if you can do it quick, you need to see it what you do. There needs to be impact. There needs to be a movement. And in the movie where I'm now actually helping out to edit and with the director Funayure, it's the title. There, when I saw it and I said it's too quick. I know what I did because I choreographed my movements.
Yes.
But it's too quick that the eye doesn't capture. I know what I did. I know the movements, but then I say, someone who doesn't know what I did as movements doesn't see it. I do 3 movements and you only see 1 movement. And I said,
that's
no,
true.
for a movie, it's not good. You need to see that there is 1 movement, a second, a third, but then you need to lengthen the movement so that you see there is this movement and then this and then this, so you have to see the full picture, but the full picture needs to be divided into different movements. And this is a difficulty. Sometimes, yesterday I spoke to the director, I said, maybe you need to slow down my movement. Because you see it, and even if you see it, it's like, because it flows from one movement into the second, and you don't see the first movement. And I said, no, because the joy of rapid fire actions is that the eye and the brain captures, you did 1, 2, 3 movements and not 1, 3, because you miss the second movement. So this is, I think, when you see movements that are too quick, then it's not that you want to show the quickness. You need to see the complete action as quick as possible that the eye still captures. Bruce Lee, he had this problem. He was so quick that you didn't see the movement. They had to slow down the movement. But the art is, it needs to be as quick as possible that you still see what is going on.
And the speed of it. I think sometimes in certain films it's quite funny, because when you see it, I've noticed this. I don't know if you've noticed it on your own observation, Mark, that things like films like in not just the Jackie Chan films and Jet Li films and all the other martial artists, even from like with Scott Adkins with Boyka, and like with the John Wick films at the moment currently, you tend to see things where I think sometimes they might not realize that it's the same movement but from a different angle. Because when you see like three or four different kicks, you see one from the side, you see one from the front and the other angle. And it's the same in like Jean-Claude Van Damme when he was doing certain kicks. When he used to do his kick in midair, and he'd do like that spin kick that he does, and then you think, well, hang on a minute. Didn't he just kick that guy once? So the impact of that kick, he kicked him once. It made it look like he's kicked him 4 times, but from a different angle. And then people get confused. You thought, how did he kick him 4 times with the same leg? And then there'd be some people that get really confused because of the speed, like you said. It's just the angle. It's the same kick. It's just coming from a different angle. And the effects of filming is beautiful because the way it expresses it in like with the art, like you said, intricate little movements. Because when you slow things down, like with the Tony Jaa, when he did Umbak, and he did the cartwheel thing like Jackie Chan does, he does all his flips and his kicks and whatever other type of acrobatic movements, because it's very acrobatic. And no doubt you look very acrobatic in your flow when you do your martial arts as well. And that's probably the beauty of martial arts, because sometimes you can add a little bit of zest, that little bit of, X factor of the martial arts, where you can add a little bit of, usually in the real martial arts, you wouldn't be able to do, but in the film, you can add a little bit extra of impact of the effect to make it look good as well, because obviously you have to have some realism in it, but also a little bit of that tiny bit of fraction of movement that can make it look even better, because, you have to, obviously it's film, but in reality, you'd think, oh my goodness, the amount of injury. Have you had any injuries you've had to sustain similar to like Jackie Chan, where the amount of movements that you've done, you think, I'm not going to do that again. If I ever did that, I'll break my neck, or if I did that, I'll break my ribs.
I didn't do the thing is, I'm not a stuntman like Jackie Chan or the stuntman who does really acrobatic things. So I could maintain more a fight style which is more realer. It's not real, but I'm not as acrobatic. I'm not someone who can do flips and will use this because it's not part of my martial arts curriculum, So the only thing that a little bit more acrobatic, which is standard, it's like some taekwondo kicks. This is really the most acrobatic that I do, but I don't do flips. I don't do all these breakdance things. I'm not specialized in it. So I keep really the kind of my wing flow system style, which is also impressive, but in another way. So I don't have this problem to be injured because of acrobatic things, but I
Yes.
got injuries. Yeah, for example, when
Wow.
I filmed the Emerging from the Shadows, it's the short movie I created with Ron. I got injured on my elbow. It was blood in my elbow. I
Ooh.
got my rib was broken, but it's just because in the choreography, for example, with the elbow, we filmed in a beautiful wooden building inside the sea, and it's wood, full wood, and Ron had to throw me, but there was a big pillar, a big how do you say the
Oh, well, like a post or something. Was it like a post?
yeah, yeah, a post, and he had to throw me. But I noticed when I was rolling that I was too close, so I had to and I
Wow.
fell with my elbow on the floor, not to be hit with my face to the post. So
Goodness.
I did it 2 times, 2 times, 3 times, and then afterwards it was really hurt. And then the other thing is with my ribs, he had to keep my arm high, so my ribs were open, and he had to hit me. But he didn't control. He did 1 times too, but I in the movie I had to stay like that, and he hit me
Goodness.
with full power. But imagine film. He is more than 100 kilograms. He's 1 meter, maybe 90, so he's huge. And he had to
Wow.
hit me 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and it broke. So if you lift the arm and you hit 1 time's okay, but 3, 4, and it broke. But I didn't realize it at the moment. So it was broken and it hurt a lot. I had fever because I was sick. And then we continued to film. So even with the broken rib, we continued, So I think this is the worst injury I had because it came together with the elbow. It was really with blood in it, broken rib. I had fever. Yeah,
Wow.
this is the only thing. I got some injuries, but it's not as bad as what I had there. So although it was not acrobatic, but it happens. Injuries happens. It may not, because it hinders you with the continuity of filming and moving correctly. So normally you cannot be hurt on set. So when you see the movies with Bruce Lee, they spoke that he was really very like Fred Astaire, so like he controlled the movements, but it is not brutality. I think when you are a very good martial artist in movies, that you control, and no, you don't need to hit, because you use angles to disguise that you don't touch, but with angles you can disguise a lot.
Yes.
But of course, it doesn't keep you away from the fact that you can be hurt. It happens, but you have protections. You have this. I never use protections, so I'm not used to wear pads when I fall to protect the elbow or the knees, etc. But I think in the future movies, when I have to do things to roll and to fall, I have to use it, because the body can be hurt, so, and this is not the aim, because you don't know how your body reacts when you're hurt.
No, of course.
You cannot not move anymore correctly. You have to stop, and this. So I think it's a problem, but I think a lot of other actors who does their stunts know the danger of it. And you know also, for example, in John Wick 4, even Donnie Yen, he has stunt doubles.
Yes.
So there are action scenes where he does maybe things that are more dangerous, but it's not him, it's someone else. So if you have someone who does the dangerous stuff or who does acrobatic things in your place, then it helps, But if you do everything alone, like a Jackie Chan is unique. He's unique because he does everything alone. He got a lot of injuries, but who is like Jackie Chan? 1 in a million, So it's you can be injured, but Jackie Chan is Jackie Chan. So
it was very hard for the insurance companies, wasn't it, to insure him? Because I remember I read in his book that the amount of stunts and the type of stunts he was doing, and the extent and the impact he was putting on his own body. I think there were several occasions when people thought he'd already gone because he's injured himself. But what I love about it is the authenticity of it in the way he does his stunts. And it was about time that he actually did receive a lifetime achievement award. He got one, didn't he? In Hollywood, it's about time. Because like you said, it's very rare for someone to get something where they're not just acting; they put in that amount of, they're sacrificing themselves for us, for our entertainment, and nobody realizes that it's not somebody else; it's actually them. And he's still around, and he's doing really well with it. And I think sometimes, as it's very lucky that he's still around, because some of the stuff that he used to do, there was one, I think, in Police Story. I remember. You remember the one where he's coming down like that lift in the shopping mall, and he's like coming down all these lights, and I was oh my goodness. I remember in my younger years, I said to my mother, I said, is he still alive? And my mum said, of course he's alive. He wouldn't have made another movie otherwise, you silly boy. And I was like, oh yeah, of course. I said, well, this is it. And it was actually him. And the outtakes, what I love. Have you considered even doing something in your own filming where you have parts of where, when he shows from the beginning to end, because nobody thinks that in the credits, you see the credits coming down, but you see everything that he does from beginning to end and during the process. I thought, wow, who does that? That shows you the entire process of the length of what he's gone through to make that film. It's amazing. You just think, how the heck did he manage to do that? What is the most, just before we wrap things up, Mark, what would you say are the top martial arts or action films that you would say, like maybe the top 3 or top 5, you would say during your time, through martial arts, that's inspired you from when you were younger to now? I'd say maybe a top, what would you say, top 3 or 5? What would you say, from old to new? What would you say?
There are a lot of movies or series I really love in terms of martial arts. But I think what inspired me, it's a classic. It's Enter the Dragon. For me, it stays really a classic. People, they tend to forget it's released in 1972 or 3, so it's many years ago, but still it has this for me it's a classic. Bruce Lee, it's marvelous. He's amazing. After all these years, he's still on screen. No one can be like Bruce Lee because he's unique. So to me, definitely Enter the Dragon. I really loved also Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee. So I love his personality in the movie, and maybe he reminded me also of his father, although he's different. I loved a lot a Sammo Hung production. It's about the Wing Chun story, Leung Jan. Young Leung Jan. It's Prodigal Son. This is the name, Prodigal Son. It's a more classic a Chinese movie, but I really loved it. The end fight I loved less, but the story, the fight scenes are really good. And in the more modern movies, I really like Jason Bourne. It's one of my favorites, Jason Bourne.
Yes.
Of course, Yip Man also. Yip Man, the first, the third, I really like. The fourth also. So. And then, there are Bodyguard and Assassins. There is an Asian movie. I think Donnie Yen plays in it, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
I think that the title is Bodyguard and Assassins. I liked also. It's more a Chinese production, but it goes from more classic to more modern, like Taken also. The first one, Taken, I liked. There are a lot. What else I can But more in the classics, yeah, it's more like Enter the Dragon, Rapid Fire. I liked a lot. Prodigal Son, Jason Bourne, Taken, the first Taken.
Taken, yes, yes.
The Kingsman. I'm a big fan of the Kingsman. This
Oh,
also,
yeah.
and
Taron Egerton.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's a little bit less martial art, it's more in the fantasy movies like the Fantastic Beasts. I'm a big fan of Fantastic Beasts. Just to tell you, I was contacted to do a project, and when I saw the names involved, they were involved in the Fantastic Beasts movies, and I did a project with them, but it's not released yet. So it's normally it will be different episodes. The title is My Hero, and I went to London for that. And the director, it's the person who was screenwriter, the supervisor, screenwriter of Fantastic Beasts.
Goodness. Wow.
And Terry Bamber, who also was involved in the Fantastic Beasts and Man from U.N.C.L.E. movies. I thought, wow, they are huge people involved, and I could do a project with them. So it's still
Mark, I'm impressed. Do you know what wow. Now, Wayne Hunt, usually they'd be on my last few episodes with the interview with him. I remember, and Maestro Melkor, William and Moscow, there was, I think it was in the second episode that I did with them together. And I think there was a time when I think this might have been one of the only times that I was quite baffled, that I was quite speechless, because the amount of not just connections, but the level of where you've got to from where you were, you know, from competing to choreographing to now even part of filming, you know, and you've got all these people coming from not just because of martial arts, but what you are as a whole, you know, as a person yourself, in, you know, that makes you what you are and what you do and what you love, you know, your passion. And this is what it is, you know. I must say this to sort of certain family and friends of mine when I say, well, what do you do? You know, why do you do this? You know, and I tell them all the time, I say, well, look, I might not be at the level where I am, but, you know, off the camera, I mean, when we were discussing this, Mark, you know, there's certain steps that you have to take, phases, you know, because a lot of the time, there'll be times when people, when they get impatient, they think, right, I'm getting really excited, I'm going to have this. And you think, well, I've learned the hard way, where I've had to sort of, you know, you get that excitement, but you think, well, you've got it, but you need to project that, you know, in the right way, you know, through the right channels, and then hold it, you know, harness it, keep it there. Don't lose the passion. Don't lose the love for it and the fire in your belly, you know, to say, look, I love this, I love doing it, like you do with most things, you know, when you love doing something. And I think that's what's happened. It's led to where we are now, you know, and I feel really honoured even being able to even interview yourself, you know, and all the top great martial artists, you know, on this platform now, with in regards to not just martial arts but also filming. And you know, just to let the viewers and the listeners out there on the Phil Carew Show 2.0, if you're not aware of it, but Mark is a very well accomplished martial artist, as well as a movie director and producer. He's been involved with many different sort of big names and other future projects, and even projects that have been involved in not just martial arts, but like he's mentioned here. If you're not sure what we were discussing, please look back and subscribe and share and comment on the replay after the show. If you've got any questions, any Q&As, if you're not able to ask them now, but maybe later on, if Mark's able to, when he's got time, when he looks back, you know, at some time in the foreseeable future, if you leave some comments, I'm sure Mark one day, you know, when he's able to, he'll look back and he'll think, well, okay, that's a nice question to answer, and then we'll deal with that. But mainly, just to let everyone know, Mark Stas is actually going to be in the UK martial arts show at Doncaster Dome on the 6th and 7th of May. So that'll be Saturday the 6th of May and Sunday the 7th of May, which will also be the UK Martial Arts Hall of Fame Awards as well in the evening, as far as what I'm aware, as what I can remember. Bob Sykes, owner and former editor of Martial Arts Illustrated, will be there to help host and present alongside Sensei Paul Barnett as well, the organizer of the UK Martial Arts. You'll have also you'll have Bill Superfoot Wallace as well there. Fantastic guy, very quick, considering he's wearing his age very well, Mark. He's very quick, very powerful, as what I've heard, from other martial artists, in these workshops and seminars, as well as yourself, no doubt. You'd probably be doing the same. And you've got Cynthia Rothrock as well. She's got a new project called Black Creek on there. If you're not aware of it, anyone, check that out. And maybe you probably see that as well soon, Mark, yourself, because, you're a busy man yourself, but no doubt you'd probably have a little look at that. She's got one. She's involved with the rap group called the Wu-Tang Clan. Yes. Yeah. She's with the Wu-Tang Clan, Cynthia Rothrock. I was very surprised, actually. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. And like yourself, involved with all the greats of other martial artists and there as well. Who would you say, just to sort of finish things off, who would you say you'd love to sort of share a set and make a film with in the foreseeable future? Who would you be like on the list of people that you'd love to work with?
One of the biggest names is Jet Li. Jet Li, I'm a big fan, so it's that would be a dream, because he's an accomplished not only martial artist, but also his on-screen performances are amazing. So he reminds me a lot of the Bruce Lee type, so I really like it. Donnie Yen, of course. My friend from Smolenburg also. It's also a very good harmony I have with him. Else, I think these are the main actors.
Of course.
I really like Jet Li. It's the top. If that day would come, then definitely I joined it. There is no question, no doubt about it. Jet Li is the main.
I can just see that now, Mark. With your name up there, with alongside them, doing your martial arts and your passion, what you love. It's one of those things. It's like even today. Sometimes I have to remind myself, in speaking, in regards not just martial arts, but even speaking to someone like yourself and Silvio. I did an episode last year with Silvio. I have to remind myself that these are not just people that act and stunt. These are fellow martial artists as well, on and off screen. So as a reminder out there, everyone's putting the strain on their body, not just for a level of entertainment, but we're doing what we love best, at the same time. So there is a little bit of with the rough going with the smooth, isn't it, as they would say? You take, give and take. Yeah. Well, what I'll do is I'll just sort of give everyone the rundown of what's happening. I have actually got another guest coming on soon. Not today, but I do have, just to give them the update, my calendar, on the Phil Carew Show 2.0. I have James the Dragon Turner, who's also linked with Don the Dragon Wilson. He's a martial arts champion himself. And it will be great to see you in person, officially, Mark Stas. It's been great having you on the show, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the flow of this conversation. I'm not going to deny this, everyone, folks. On the show, on the Phil Carew Show 2.0, not just the listeners and the viewers, but look at this. I only have 5 questions for you, but it was so natural, Mark, I didn't even need to look. It just came natural. So this is one of the best interviews I've done, and it's been fantastic having you on. Thank you very much. It's been a real honor.
Thanks a
and
lot.
having you on, Mark. You know, I look forward to seeing you in person once again in the UK martial arts show. Just to let everyone know afterwards, I'm going to put a link down below. Just to let everyone know, if you want any more information about what Mark Stas does, as well as filming, you know, because it's part of that association of the wing flow system. I'm going to get some information at some point today. I'm going to attach it here, you know, and there's some other information that you'd like to see about himself, as well as what he does with the martial arts. Really great, talented choreographer, actor, and producer. So watch this space. There's going to be some other projects that you know, no doubt we'll probably see soon in the foreseeable future with Mark's what great and fantastic work. Thank you very much, Mark. And I hope you have a great day. And we'll look forward to seeing you, whoever comes to the UK Martial Arts Show in May 6th and 7th. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Phil. Thank you.
It's a real honor. Don't forget to subscribe, please. This is also on available platforms. Facebook Live, we're on at the moment. We've got it on LinkedIn and YouTube. So yeah, folks, just to let everyone know, if you're not sure about anything, there will be a link, like I said, just to review every of that for Mark Stas. All right. Thank you very much, Mark. Have a great day.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, it's been an honor.